I stand here before God and my Father in heaven tonight, as I said I would be world's heavyweight champion. In the tradition of Lou Thez, in the tradition of Jack Briscoe, of the Briscoe brothers, of Dory Funk Jr., of Terry Funk, the man who'll never die. As the real nature boy, Buddy Rogers, upstairs tonight. From the Harley races to the Barry Windhams to the Ric Flairs. I accept this heavyweight title. Wait a second. Wait a second. Of Kerry Von Erich. Of the fat man himself, Dusty Rhodes. This is it tonight, Dad. God, that's beautiful. And Rick Steamboat. And they can all kiss my ass.
What in the hell is he doing?
Because I am not the man who accepts a torch to be handed down to me from an organization that died, R.I.P., 7 years ago. The franchise, Shane Douglas, is the man who ignites the new flame of the sport of professional wrestling.
That's the ECW
Tonight,
belt.
Before God and my Father as witness, I declare myself, the franchise, as the new ECW heavyweight champion of the world.
Shane Douglas declaring himself
We have set out
ECW
to change
World
the face
Champion
of professional wrestling. So tonight, let the new era begin. The era of the sport of professional wrestling. The era of the franchise. The era of the ECW.
Vince's curiosity with ECW started at the King of the Ring in Philadelphia, when Mabel was crowned King of the Ring, and the entire arena is chanting ECW with great passion and anger at Vince McMahon.
Mabel! With a series of crushing blows. Look at this. Driving. It's 568 pounds. Listen to this.
I'd heard about ECW, and there's this other, wrestling organization, ECW, local in New York, and I kind of dismissed it at first, and it started making a little bit more noise.
Vince is coming back to Philadelphia to do Mind Games, and obviously we had such momentum at the time, it would behoove his business to acknowledge ECW.
There's this other brand out there, and why not incorporate it? It wasn't, on the same par in terms of value or whatever, but why not incorporate it? Why not try to do something with it and see where it goes? I wouldn't have done the same with WCW, but it was a way to broaden the business.
It's not going to help us to be embraced and endorsed by Vince McMahon. It's going to help us to rebel against Vince McMahon. So we came up with a way that everybody won.
If we have an opportunity, we're going to Hey, wait just a moment. There's a local wrestling group here in Philadelphia, and obviously trying to make a name for themselves here.
We never were in the WWE locker room. We would basically, during the show, corral in the parking lot, ECW guys. We had ECW guys sprinkled throughout the arena because we didn't know if the WWE guys were going to try and jump us. We didn't know what the deal was. Because it was like, I don't think many people knew, besides Vince McMahon, what was going to happen. And I remember that night jumping that guardrail and the security trying to stop me, and a guy who was a WWE photographer here tried to stop me. He's telling me, no, it's not worth it, man, it's not worth it. And I was instructed by my boss and by a couple other people, anybody gets in your way, get him out of the way. And I just said to the photographer, you know, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this, you know, and shoved him out of the way, and he broke his shoulder.
Extreme Championship.
So ladies and gentlemen, we're doing something different. Finally diverting away. Last time, Denzel was on here. We were talking about the oral history of WCW and stuff. I think we did a pretty good job at that. We actually matched WCW with the 3-hour show. That was actually pretty cool. I thought that was awesome. So, so this week, we're talking about ECW, and
which will be a lot cheaper and only for 1 hour.
Exactly.
And in case we need some distractions, Kimono Wanalea is going to be dancing on top of Dee's house.
And we're also live from underneath I-95. So there you go. It's all good.
Right next to the former mills.
So join us today. It's Denzel and our boy Duke. How's it going, guys?
Not much. Same old. And I gotta admit, I've been waiting for this episode. I've been waiting to talk about EC Dub.
So, if we're starting
with the begrudging.
So if we're starting on this. I guess the whole thing to start off with is, how did y'all hear about ECW? Because I know for me, I remember mid-90s, cable TV, I saw a commercial, because, pay-per-views show commercials and stuff, and a little sketchy little wrestling company, ECW, I just remember the little short commercials like, it's extreme, and people diving off tables and bleeding to death and shit, and I was like, what is this?
You sure about that? It could have just been like a Buffalo Bills like a pregame thing. Cause,
I don't know. I mean, I just remember it was just the quality was very shitty because it was taped on VHS. I mean, but granted, this was the mid-90s, so, DVD wasn't really a thing at that point, so it made sense. But yeah, I just remember that was kind of like my introduction to it, but I didn't really watch it until later on during the Monday Night Wars and stuff. So I'll probably say 98 is when I watched ECW.
It comes in 3 parts for me because I've always been a WWE fan. So I seen the night that Paul Heyman and that fucking ponytail showed up on Monday Night Raw. I was actually watching that show, and I didn't hear from him. But I didn't hear from ECW. It was weird for me. ECW always existed to me, and I never watched it but I had 2 friends that had all the tapes. Now you know what I mean by they had the tapes. These weren't pay-per-views. These were actual shows that didn't come on television, at least in your area like that, or whatever happened like that.
Yeah.
So I I didn't watch them, but my friends watched them, and I didn't really watch ECW until about '99, right before they got off the air. That's when I actually started watching ECW. And when I look back at some of the old shit, there are some old stuff I look at like, damn, I wish I seen that. And then there's some old stuff where it's like, oh, I did see that. And I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now.
Yeah, I mean,
when I found out about ECW, I found out because I heard about it from my little cousin or my older cousins. Because when me and my siblings were younger, our grandfather would take us into Philly for the Disney on Ice, and then afterwards we would go to my uncle's house and chill with my cousins. And downstairs they would have like the wrestling, Sting, NWO. And next thing you know, they popped in a tape of old ECW stuff, and it was around the time when Eddie Guerrero had won the ECW Television Championship, and so that was like my first introduction of Rey Mysterio, Conan, Psicosis, pretty much the luchadors and all of them. And I was like, yo, what's this? And they said it was ECW, and they said that you could only watch it on the public channel.
Oh yes, ECW folks was on a public access channel for a sec.
Public access channel. So so it was that channel where all the shows that was done in like someone's basement, and they only paid like $20 for it to get on the channel. And they was like, here you go. And that was on like public channel number 48 for us.
But Denzel, did you tell them what time it came on?
Oh, it was late.
2 a.m. 2 a.m. I remember specifically. It was 2 a.m.
Yup, 2 a.m. And when you're like 6 years old, 2 a.m. is like the unforbidden zone.
Yeah, I know, right?
So that was when you had to like turn the TV on, but then you also had to like change the brightness and the contrast so that way the light from the TV didn't wake up everyone else in the house, and you had to turn the volume down real low so that way you didn't realize that you were up, but yet you were supposed to be asleep because you had school in the morning. Yeah, for me, watching ECW was a challenge.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, ECW was actually a company that was kind of born out of NWA, the NWA and such. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Shane Douglas had a hand in all this, right?
I believe Shane had a hand in this. But it was, like you said, it was a product because before it was Extreme Championship Wrestling, it was Eastern Championship Wrestling, and they were just a part of the NWA because after WCW was like, peace, we're out of here, NWA was like, well, we need something else, so here is Eastern Championship Wrestling. And
basically, and you're right, but it's because NWA really needed a flagship at the time, and they really did put a lot of their Paul Heyman was one of the people that really like, hey, give it to me. I got this upstart, this, all the rest of that. And it's amazing that was a real straight up swerve that the NWA didn't see coming. Mm-hmm. We're going to put the NWA title on Shane Douglas. Awesome moment for him. He was talking about how, oh man, this person had this what do you say is the famous speech,
like the Ric Flairs, the Steamboats,
the Harley Races,
and all this stuff, and they can all kiss my ass, and just throws the title, and that was pretty much the spark that what started ECW became, Extreme Championship Wrestling.
And then the next thing you know, for anybody that knows shit about NWA, next thing you know, Dan Severn, for some strange reason, had the belt. The next time you saw it's like, mind fuck. Like, the MMA guy all of a sudden has it. And I think like him and Jeff Jarrett were fighting over or some shit like that, but whatever. But yeah, you know what? That's the first person that we can I need to ask when it comes to this. What did y'all guys think of Shane Douglas? Because
a guy
go ahead.
Was interesting, but I don't think he was actually He said, called himself the franchise, but I didn't think he was actually, franchise. Like he wasn't someone you build a franchise upon. You know what I mean?
Nah, gotcha. Nah.
I just remember him from WCW, and he was just some dude that represented WCW, and I didn't really feel one way or the other about him. That's about it.
Yeah.
Here's a funny thing about for me with Shane. I knew him. Of course, I knew him as Dean Douglas in WWF. And here's the funny part about me and Shane Douglas. I know more about him in ECW than him in WCW or WWF. And either way, just like Duke said, there's nothing franchise about him. On a good day, he's a 77 to me. So I mean,
if he's such a franchise, he would at least won the fucking WCW fucking heavyweight championship. He couldn't even get that. I think the most he got was like the US championship. That's about it.
Dude, the only thing he had, look, I will give him this. He had a nice, was it a fisherman suplex that he used to do, man? That's the one thing I did give him. That's the one thing I really give him. It looked kind of sweet. But other than that, man, he was just, I get like 8 Shane. To me, it was like I couldn't find 8 Shane Douglases.
Well, hold up, guys.
Eight of them.
Hold on, guys. I forgot. He was an IC champion, so you got to put some respect a little bit on his name.
Oh, yeah, put some respect. Wait a minute, man.
Yeah, WWE, yeah, WWE. Yeah, WWF.
Holy shit, he was the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I told you.
Wow. So what happened? He just dropped that thing right back to Razor? What the hell?
Did he beat Shawn Michaels for the IC belt in your house.
Yeah, Shawn. Yeah. I remember that because
it was Dean Douglas.
Because what happened was Shawn got his ass whooped. I think the week before that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean like in real life. No kayfabe. Straight up, he got his ass kicked. He he had to give up his belt. Yeah. And I think he ended up losing to Shawn or something. I mean, he ended up losing to Shane or something. Yeah, I forgot all about that. But yeah.
But then Razor Ramones whooped his ass the next night, so it's like,
Razor didn't like him, man. And also real shit, yeah, the Click did bury him. The Click did kind of bury him.
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of shoot interviews. The Click was basically like this. Hey, look, you're either with us or you're against us. If you want that bullshit, we will bury your ass.
Yeah.
It was either that or it was just, I liked how, because I get where Kevin Nash was coming from, but it made me say, shut the fuck up, Kevin. He was like, nah, we didn't hate everybody. Hey, we knew we could make money off you. Hey, we try to put, like, shut up, Kevin. Shut up now.
Like, I remember, right? I mean, granted, this is because, Bam Bam was part of ECW, if I remember correctly, but, like...
Oh, my gosh.
I remember Nash was like, we kind of didn't like Bam Bam, but then Bam Bam kind of got on our side, and he was like, all right, throw the belt on Bam Bam. We like him.
Flip side of that, they asked Bruce Pritchard that. Bruce, Bam Bam hated them.
I know, right?
Bam Bam couldn't stand the Click. He said, did the Click like him? No, the Click didn't like him either. They worked with each other. Oh, yeah, because they were he's like, they were professional about it. I gave him that much. But they didn't like each other. No, they hated each other.
See, that's what happens when Nash sugarcoats that shit. Like, Bam Bam eventually kind of came to our side and stuff. He made it seem as though they were like buddy after that.
Mm-hmm. Still, the Bam Man could have been. Dude, you gotta shop someone who actually was good in ECW. Bam Bam Bigelow. That dude was.
Yes. Like I was saying, the rivalry between him and Taz, bruh.
Shit.
Because you have on one side you got Bam Bam, who's I really wasn't a big fan of Bam Bam, but I'm just saying, I swear to God, he could eat your soul just by looking at you.
He was, and I'm like, man, he should have been at least a WWF champ at one point, and he should have been, because dude was like, the dude could do all this other stuff, man. He was just this big dude,
like someone of his size that could moonsault.
And that's the thing and that's what made him so good in ECW was because WWF I wouldn't say WWF, they knew what they had, but there was bullshit blocking him. WCW WCW to me underappreciated him. ECW said, all that shit you do in Japan and all that shit you WWF, do it here. Have fun.
Oh yeah.
And that's what made it so good. His run at ECW so freaking good. I suggest to anybody that don't think they like him or might like him, and you didn't see him in the ECW, you see him in ECW, you would love him.
The match between him and Taz, where they were on the ramp, and Taz had him in the Taz mission, and Bam Bam fell back, and the ramp fell in, and then the same thing happened inside the ring. Holy crap!
People lost their shit so bad. That was one that I remember. My friend broke that tape out. He's like, "Oh man, you remember Bam Bam Bigelow? Fuck yeah, I do."
Who doesn't remember? At this point, it's like if you never remember Bam Bam Bigelow, I just have to look at you like, really, dog? Come on.
Right.
Come on,
That's a
man.
really cool look, man.
I'm gonna say, if you grew up in the '90s watching wrestling and you don't know who Bam Bam Bigelow is, I'm sorry, I question you as a wrestling fan.
Greetings from Asbury Park, all that. Come on, man. That's just
Beast from the East.
Like, come on, dude. He was in major pain. How do you not know this?
I know, right?
Major pain.
Somebody's gonna pay the blood on my lip.
Then he gets dropped by Damon Wayans. And then he got dropped by Damon Wayans. In real talk, somebody needs to superimpose the WWF logo on top of Damon Wayans' face when that whole scene goes down. And we're like, yeah, that's kind of what happened to Bam Bam.
But before we start, we was talking about franchise, or quote unquote franchise. I'll say for anything, Shane Douglas in ECW was only good enough to because that's where his fascination of wanting to challenge Ric Flair started.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and then that was also where he had Sherry Martel, and that was when Sherry was like, she would go to WCW and then come back, or she would go to WWE or WWF and then come back. And it was just like, really, dude? Like, come on.
Oh my god!
I didn't like Shane at all, man. To me, it's kind of funny to me. I appreciate him for what type of wrestler he was and whomever he may have like inspired or anything like that. But on some real shit, no.
And that's funny, like that when you think about it, and you think about. I was actually telling this to a friend of mine like a couple years ago, because we were talking about like infamous tag teams in wrestling, and one of them was the I forget the name of the team that Shane and Johnny Ace was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
What, the Dynamic Dudes or something like that?
The Dynamic Dudes, yeah, we talked about the Dynamic Dudes, and I was like, dude, isn't it funny how one of them went on to be a part of a movement which helped usher in the Attitude Era for WWE, and which helps turn WWE into that edgier side, while the other one went on to Japan and then started kissing the behind of Vince McMahon to become the executive vice president of talent relations.
You know what? I didn't want to believe how much of an ass kisser Johnny was. Johnny, it is kind of funny that Johnny Ace, like, you can only believe, like the only thing you can't believe, like, you know how everybody just runs over Johnny Ace? Okay, 20% of that is not true. That's still fucking low. that means that there's 80% of that that's, oh, that shit happened. Hey, guys, Billy, I think Vince likes that.
Hey, real talk though. So I was looking through all the pay-per-views that ECW has, just to kind of roll down some of the famous ones that we all know. So you got, Barely Legal, WrestlePalooza, House
Party.
Which
I will always ask, which is my question, or if I ever meet, like Paul Heyman, the one question I would ask him is, if the mass transit incident didn't happen, would Barely Legal would have started or come out sooner than what it did?
You know what? I think somebody asked that question before. I can't tell you the answer, but I think somebody asked something about that same type of question, though, man.
Yeah, because that whole mass transit incident, that was.
You want to break down the people of Denzel about the mass transit incident?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh, the little kid. Wait a minute. The little wait a minute. That 16-year-old kid that was built like a 24-year-old white man. Speaking of which, white people what age so rapidly? I do not understand that shit. How are there 24-year-olds walking around look like 40-year-olds? What is wrong with you white people?
Rough life.
Meth.
Meth. Anyway.
Mass transit incident. Go.
Okay, so the mass transit incident, what happened was, it was Devon, and I guess someone couldn't make it, and this kid comes in and says, hey, and lies about it and says, I'm over 18, I was trained by Killer Kowalski, and all this stuff, and if you need some help, I can help out. So then Paul's like, okay, let's go. So,
seriously? He just took it by word. I was trained by Killer Kowalski. Oh, Lord.
They took it by word, and so, they're going over with the match and everything, and this kid goes to New Jack, and he goes, listen, man, I really haven't bladed, that much. And so he tells New Jack, yo, dude, like, do what you normally do, but take care of me. New Jack being New Jack was probably after smoking a couple blunts with Rob Van Dam and doing a couple lines with Sabu and Sandman, was like, yeah, man, whatever, I got you. And there is video of this on YouTube, and I will say, guys, viewer discretion is highly advised, extremely advised, because New Jack, this was one of the most gruesome beatdowns that New Jack put on someone. And we all know that New Jack can go to town on someone. Didn't he like kill someone with a fork at one point, D?
Allegedly.
But this man, like, he did his normal things with, cheese graters and sharp objects and all of that. Meanwhile, this kid's dad is talking about, and he's videotaping this, and you can hear him screaming over the camera, he's just a kid! He's just a kid! And you see this guy's face, and you barely even recognize the like, you don't even see a face. Next thing you know, it's all over Inside Edition, it's all over the news, and like, media is blowing it up, and New Jack is on TV for they're trying to sue him and whatnot, and apparently the charges get dropped and everything because they find out that this kid lied about his age. This kid lied about being trained by Killer Kowalski. So pretty much this kid came with false documents and just wanted his 15 minutes or so of fame, and just to say that he was in the ring with wrestlers. And then I guess a few years later, the kid dies, and then they wanted to blame the mass transit incident because of that, but it was like, no, because he was overweight and his heart gave out or something. But yeah, but that's the mass transit incident, and it was one of the many cases that involved New Jack.
Yeah,
we could transition into New Jack because that motherfucker is crazy.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the dude he's not the best wrestler in the world, but by God, if you want somebody to beat the hell out of you with a kendo stick, some trash cans, chairs, and even with a stapler gun, he's your man.
Oh. Yeah. Like,
then they get me about New Jack is like, everybody who says the same thing, he can't wrestle. He really can't.
No, he can't.
He can't wrestle. He can talk. He can talk. He was one of.
God. When it comes
he
to
was
promos,
one of Yeah, he was actually one of
early Enzo.
He was actually not when he say early Enzo. No, come on, man. Come on. You anybody can beat up Enzo. Not everybody can beat up Net.
Yeah, my bad.
He wasn't a wrestler, but he was a brawler.
He was a nigga. Anyway,
exactly.
Yo, no, the thing that get me about New Jack. But they didn't give him a New Jack was him and Mustafa. They came from actually Jim Cornette's play. They came from
Smoky Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, Smoky
yeah, they
Mountain.
came out from Smoky Mountain, and it was one of Cornette's people. And it's just amazing that I think ECW he earned the name. That's how he really became who he was today. That everybody knows him for. And it was just more than just that mass transit shit, man. It was just the fact that he was just a straight up crazy dude, man. Didn't care what he was. He was one of them live wire type dudes, man. Where it's like, man, he ain't gonna smoke crack. Well, yeah, he will, and he will wrestle. Okay. He was like one of those guys, man. And then on top of that, and I think it's just because he came from that era and everybody really worshipped him for what he did. Is the reason why we know him now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only that, but his theme music, the music. Not that generic music that WWE plays on the network. No, the Natural Born Killers with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube.
Yeah. That's how everybody knows him, man.
Everyone knows, like the minute you hear that song, you think New Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know what the thing is about this? Someone like New Jack would not last 5 seconds in WE or anything else today, because Lord knows.
Oh no, wait! You do realize that he was originally going to be in WWE after ECW was bought by WWE.
I knew something. Yeah, I knew something of that, but I knew, that wasn't going to fucking happen.
What were the odds that gonna fucking happen?
Because remember when that storyline that John Cena was supposedly stabbed in the nightclub? There was talks to have for it to be New Jack, and that was supposed to bring in New Jack because that was when WWE was still in like that attitude
ruthless aggression
era. It was like in that genre, and it was gonna bring in New Jack. But then I guess Kevin Nash had said something, and even though Kevin Nash never was in the same area with New Jack, but Kevin Nash was like, I don't know about that. So then that's why they brought in Carlito and that his buddy that was
Jesus. Yes, remember him? Oh gosh, that would have been more interesting. Think about it. You have New Jack come in and saying, "Yeah, I took down Cena." Yeah, and that sort of thing. Instead, you got this like bland dude who will wrestle only one match, got his ass kicked.
He was gone a week afterwards.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, New Jack was crazy. I would say this: if there was one person that I remember specifically when I remember seeing like ECW for the first time commercial wise, Sabu.
Oh yes.
Sabu's matches, everything about him bled ECW, from trying out a spot 5 times to executing the spot to fucking up on the spot.
Yeah, he gave no fucks. That was the main thing.
No fucks, man. I mean, down to the bleeding, down to the everything, man. The way the crowd hyped up around. One underrated match that a lot of people don't, at least I know a lot of people don't really talk about, is him versus Too Cold Scorpio. I need y'all to go back and watch the matches that they had.
Keyword, folks, matches.
Mm-hmm.
Matches.
They had several. And these were like early ECW. I'm talking like 94.
So this was around like Eastern, when they was still Eastern Championship Wrestling.
And I would give Sabu this. He had a little small stint in. I don't think we mentioned in our WCW thing. He was wrestling in the cruiserweight division for a solid year.
Yeah, I said something about that, and then that was when D was like, "Hey, Denzel, cut it." Anyway,
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, he fought Alex Wright, and he fought Disco Inferno, and that was pretty much it. He had one pay-per-view, Halloween Havoc, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was around the time when
actually, hold up. If it was Halloween Havoc, if I am mistaken, that's where we got the famous "he got a bicycle." If I am mistaken, I think that's where it came from.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He got a
but
bicycle.
That was. He got a bicycle. But that was also around the time when Sabu was in WCW, when Public Enemy went to WCW.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sabu though, holy crap!
Spot
and then He was the personification, and he definitely earns the title of being suicidal, homicidal, and genocidal. Because, like D said, this guy didn't give two flying fucks about himself or whoever he was around.
He was going in the vein of his uncle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, but the Sheik.
Hey, real talk though. Best match that you had? Barbed wire match with Terry Funk, dog.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh, even to watch that is
That's another dude that's another dude that fucking put blood, sweat, and tears in ECW. Terry Funk. Holy shit.
Yes.
Jeez, Terry Funk, who was old back in those days.
Right.
He was old, and yet you had like him doing a promo saying, you know, he wanted to win one more championship before he goes away, and that
went away.
Just no,
never went away.
I just want one more time to feel a belt in my hands. That's all I want.
It's gonna be a hot time in ECW. When he used the branding iron on Cactus Jack.
Yes, and I wonder at this point. And here's the crazy thing: he's still wrestling, by the way. Terry Funk.
Jesus.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he is.
Him and the Midnight Express.
They're still going at it. Oh yeah, they're still going. I will not be surprised that Terry Funk will probably, like him, Ric Flair, and all. They're gonna outlive wrestling, and they're gonna sit like they're probably gonna have one more match, and you know, break some of the scale, and then you know that'll be it. Yeah. That'll be the last wrestling match forever.
That dude was everywhere.
That needs to be the last wrestling match for both of them, man. Just like Ric Flair's like in the hospital, all of a sudden. I told you, you little son of a bitch, I was coming for you. Let's go, Flair.
Hospital match. Live, WWE Raw.
Like 60 minutes in the ring. That's all I need. That's all I want.
Let me tell you something, Terry.
Fuck.
You want You woo. Wanna go?
Are you ruining all the rest of that? Look what I got. This is the old NWO belt. Come and get it. Come and get it. That's all you got.
With a tear in my eye.
Dude, out of nowhere, fucking Earl Hebner pops up as the fucking special guest ref and shit.
Earl Hebner just come in with his walker. You ready? You ready? Let's go.
It's like Earl fucking Hebner popped up in the ring.
Dude, it will get to the 6-minute mark, and everybody's going to say the same thing. I don't think we should be watching this. Yo, why do I pay money? Why I pay money for this shit, man?
I don't know, man. Terry Funk, he used to be about something. I don't know what to say about this.
But yeah, Terry Funk in ECW though.
I remember when us saying that. That reminded me when Jim Cornette said. Jim Cornette was laughing. He's like, this reminded me of that time when I seen Iron Sheik and Bobo Brazil had this 25-minute match and like only 14 people were in the gymnasium to watch it. I was like, whoa. Two things. Bobo Brazil wrestled that long, and number two, only how many people showed?
Yo, that has to be like, that is like high school levels of watching. It's like you watch the wrestling team and it's like 14 people if you're lucky to get 14 people watching.
In other cases, that's usually the Impact Wrestling audience, television-wise. But anyway, back to the ECW.
Don't let the CG fool you, man. It looks like it's 14, but it's really 1,000.
Stop that. You need to stop that, man. There are at least
or if you really want to be heard about it, SmackDown's attendance.
No, they're under the tarp. Just they're under the tarp. That's why you can still hear them.
Under the tarp.
Under the tarp.
You know what, man? You know what? It's funny that we're talking about ECW. I mean, when we're talking about ECW, you know, one name that I notice a lot of people will recognize that he was at ECW and that he did a whole lot there, but they always talk about his WCW stuff more. At least to me, and that's Raven. People to me,
yeah,
out of his ECW stuff more, and I always wondered why. Was it because was it because it wasn't that good, or it's just that what he did in WCW was more memorable? I never understood.
I think with Raven, at least for me, I think what Raven was doing at the time was during that whole Monday Night Wars thing, him having the Ravens flock and bringing that, like, the Kurt Cobain edge and shit was kind of like the big thing. So it overshadowed all his stuff from ECW.
But even in ECW, he was doing the same thing. Like he still had the flock and it was all that, but because of the fact that he pretty much moved the gimmick from ECW to WCW, a much broader audience got to see it, and now they remember him more for WCW as ECW. Whereas me, I remember him because of the 3-year rivalry the rivalry between him and Tommy Dreamer, where Tommy Dreamer couldn't beat him for 3 years, and then when Raven decided to leave and go to WCW, that's when Tommy finally beat him. And even then, Tommy was like, "I still don't want to beat you." Like, even when Tommy finally beat Raven, Tommy was against it. He was like, "No, I don't want that. No, I don't want to beat you." He wanted the story to be like, no matter how close he got to beating Raven, Raven always found a way to win.
I don't understand.
I never get that either, because eventually that to me is really depressing. And if Tommy Drew is writing those stories that WWE is right now, like, the good guys never win. No, at the end of the day, the good guy, the hero of the story, Tommy Drew, gets that one victory. It's perseverance, dang it. Sure, he loses 1,000 times, but he got that one victory. That's
that makes no sense to me. I'm about to say that's the part that makes no sense to me. I get being the person that wants to say, "Hey, I'm putting the dude over as many times as possible because I like putting people over." I get when people get into that mood, and that's the type of story you want to bring. But just to lose that many times and like, no, I'm going to be against it, dude. This ain't the '70s where you can make this rivalry go out 5 more years doing this shit. You can't do that shit no more, man.
Right.
So,
And my other favorite moment, and another reason why I love the rivalry between Raven and Tommy Dreamer, is because within that 3-year span, even though the rivalry was Tommy Dreamer and Raven, Tommy Dreamer was always in a sub-rivalry with someone who was in some way connected to Raven.
That is true.
That is actually kind of I get that. I get what they're doing with it. It's just, I think it was an advantage of being in ECW, having a little bit more freedom in ECW. There was a lot of just fucking do it in ECW and see what happens.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
a whole lot of that.
I mean, if we're okay, so you got Raven and stuff. So speaking of which, kind of like my low key favorite person in there, Sandman.
Well, hey, the dude was, hey, you know what? The man can be crucified 1 second and come back drinking beer the next week. You can't
not just
that.
any beer,
dude.
Not just any beer.
Budweiser. Sandman to me is the epitome of how guys write fake wrestling stories. You know how people, let me explain this. You know how people will write their own type of federation type of thing where whatever wrestler does what. There's always a wrestler who gets their ass totally demolished. And 5 minutes later, he's back doing the hero bull crap. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so he's not going to sell that happened to him. No, this is going to make him look weak. Okay, fuck it, whatever.
You don't care. I don't care. Whatever.
I have never seen. Here's the thing that killed me about Sandman. Sandman to me was I can't judge him like a wrestler because I just got to be honest with you.
No.
You barely see him do it.
Nope.
He's batshit crazy. He comes in there with weapons and just beats the shit out of you with weapons and then pins you and wins. There you go.
I've seen this man fall off of a broken ladder, then try to put up the broken ladder, climb up said broken ladder, and fall off of it again.
Look, first off, you want to know why? Because he was fucking drunk when he got into that match. All right, come on.
Oh yeah.
No. Oh my god.
I remember. What was it? No, you know what? It was one of the those top tens for WWE when it was doing the top tens on the network, and I think it was either Styles or Heyman, and they were saying that this guy would be drinking a beer on the way to the arena while he's getting ready, like putting out. Even though it's like, dude, you probably look like you just got out the car, but okay, whatever. So as he's gearing up, he's drinking 2 more beers. And then he's walking out of the ring, he's drinking 2 more beers. And then afterwards, he goes back, drinking 2 or 3 more beers. So, it's like this guy was inebriated the second anyone saw him. And I think Joey Styles was like, you know what? I was supposed to see him like 2 weeks ago. I found out he's in jail. For what? Drinking.
I mean, apparently Sandman was trying to break Wade Boggs' drinking record, so there you go.
But, well, can you say that he was? Do you ever did a show while he was hungover? Something like that. Like you just said, after I'm just gonna wrestle while being hangover.
Yeah,
like that Yankees player did.
Yeah, he has.
Damn.
He is wrestling hungover. And somebody asked me, "Did you drink a WWE?" Oh yeah, I did.
I believe that. I mean, I don't think
even if WWE didn't let him drink, man. Good God.
Vince didn't give a fuck because Vince's logic was like, this shit ain't gonna fucking last long, so go ahead and drink. I don't care.
That wellness, man. I got that wellness, man. God forbid. I just imagine some poor wrestler, just kind of, at least I'll say this. At least it didn't happen today, because I just imagine Finn Balor be like, "Oh God, I got to wrestle Sandman."
I know.
Right? Just drunk, and that's why he's probably kicking so many times. Like he probably couldn't take that beer breath, man. Be like, okay, he comes out lock up. He's like, "Nope." Well, kicks him right in the chest. Like, no, man, I can't deal with that breath right now.
Hey, you can't. Like, to me, I think he was that type of wrestler that only could exist in ECW.
Oh,
he was that type of wrestler that can only exist in one of these hardcore promotions.
Yeah.
I mean, because he tried in WCW and that shit didn't last long.
Oh, wait! You mean when he went by Hack?
Yeah, Hack. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man!
And again, like he came out and was trying to do his thing, and then Bischoff was like, "You can't do that," because he had the cigarette in his mouth.
He didn't give a fuck. He was like, "Oh shit, I can't smoke." All right. If we're gonna talk about that, so you remember when EC invaded WWE back in the '90s, early '90s?
Yes.
Yep. Oh yes, there was. Yeah. Oh gosh, that was fun. I was a little kid. I did not know any of these guys. I was like, holy crap.
I didn't know none of them even. Didn't know what the hell was going on.
And
yeah,
of course,
that was my first ever. That was the first time I ever saw someone go through a table. I was like, what? You can go through wrestlers go through tables? I'm like, that's it. That wrestler's dead.
And it was so funny because right before that, it was either right before that or around that time, ECW in its own way started showing up on WWF television at the time.
Oh yeah,
when I mean showing up,
the first time they did it was at the In Your House. It was like In Your House. Was it Mind Games?
It was something like I think it was at In Your House.
And then there was a program going on with Savio Vega, and then all of a sudden you see Sandman and Tommy Dreamer, and then Taz is walking around with a sign that says Sabu, here's Taz, because that was when they was doing that storyline where Taz wanted Sabu, and I was just like, ooh, yes.
And even when they weren't there, you heard it matter which episode. I don't know which episodes of All Superstars you would hear it, but you would hear a ECW chant break out, and they used to, and there was a real presence there. So I just think Paulie knew the people who to call over at WWF, and Vince was actually all for it, and it went down.
Oh yeah,
it was one of those weird. It was one of those perfect storms, man. That went down. You got and for a lot of people don't know that Paul Heyman has been in the WWE tree since he was 14. He was because he used to take pictures backstage when he was.
I was gonna say, anyone listening, go if you have the network, go check out the Stone Cold podcast stuff and the one that he does with Paul Heyman. That's one of my favorite episodes. When Stone Cold would interview the guys. That's one of my favorites.
I knew he knew a whole bunch of old wrestlers because of that. I didn't know that he had like a relationship with one of them. One of the best stories actually they had on that little cartoon called WWE
Story Time.
Yeah,
him and Freddie Blassie.
That was funny. That was
funny,
man. I gotta think about myself like, yeah, you had but do you gotta think about the fact that he'd been around these great people, especially Freddie Blassie, man. He's
legend, man, legend.
Scary. Same thing go for the fact that he knew Bobby Heenan and all the rest of them. So yeah, it was kind of a weird thing how a lot of shit just comes together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the fact that Paul Lee, who was going to get offered something big at WWE, didn't want to do it. Which was he was going to take over the Heenan family. He was going to make his own family, the Heyman family. Never went through.
Dangerous alliance.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You think that would have happened, man, but he stayed with WCW, then that fell through, and boom, ECW falls on his lap, and it's weird.
Him and Todd Gordon. Yeah, him partnering up with Todd Gordon was one of the best things that happened in the 90s when it comes to pro wrestling.
Because even on both sides, because you gotta think in the early 90s it was such a coin toss with not even WWE, just a coin toss with wrestling. Period. WWF was not bringing in the money that it brought in the 80s. WCW didn't know what the hell they were doing. NWA was pretty much bankrupt. So it was a whole lot of shit. It was just like I said, it was a coin toss for wrestling at the time. So it's just funny how all of that worked out to me. It really is. It really is.
Yeah. Mike Awesome.
I was. You know what? I will go. Oh, you said Mike Awesome. Oh my God.
Hey, Mike Awesome had, I think he was very criminally underutilized, man.
Well, in WCW, he was. Yeah. But in ECW, that's where he truly shined.
Yeah, he shined, and the problem is he didn't get paid, so he's like, he rolled out. So you can't hey man, you can't take those bumps for free. She's like, nah, man, I gotta get that paper, brother. I gotta get that money.
I like how he said, I gotta get that paper, went to WCW and didn't do a damn thing.
Hey, he got paid though.
Got paid though, man. Rest in peace to that, bro.
Yeah, man. I'd rather, exactly. I mean, you can have all the stuff you want, get all the stuff you want, but if you ain't getting paid, man, shoot.
it made me laugh because I laughed at like who was it? It was Hawk. In an interview talking about how Vince paid him and made him sit down, how much he hated it. And then I was thinking to myself, on the other hand, Mike Awesome would have been like, shit, why you mad?
Right? Speaking of Hawk, he had a little stint in ECW in the early stages. Yes, he did.
Really?
This was back when, this is when Shane Douglas was the ECW champion. And when he also had Mr. Hughes, when Mr. Hughes was Shane Douglas's bodyguard or something, and he was asking for competition. Well, in comes Hawk, and Hawk and Shane Douglas had a program, and then next thing you know, it went from Hawk to Shane Douglas, and then it was Hawk versus Mr. Hughes, and they had some matches just as well.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that being said about Mr. Hughes. All I gotta say is, God, you was just big, and you know what? You know who he was. If anybody want to know, like, hey D, how good is hey D? No, I'm sorry. How good is Bad Luck Fale? Have you ever seen Mr. Hughes wrestle? Yeah, just like that.
Just like that.
So Bad Luck Fale is a throwback then. So I expect him to.
Actually,
so I expect him to be in WE by what? 3 weeks from now.
Look, hey Duke, not never.
Be surprised.
No, you want to know why? You want to know why? Because I'm thinking over here, no bullshit. This actually happened recently. I was like, man, this big 6'7". Wait a minute, he's 6'3". Oh, get out my face!
It's like I am insulted right now. This is bullshit.
Look at this, man. This motherfucker ain't scaring nobody.
Oh my god, man.
And talking about like old or not, I don't want to say old, but other former legends or so coming into ECW. Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was in ECW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a promo. He had a program with Shane Douglas. Just as well.
Was this before or after his gladiator stint in WWF?
That would be before Nation.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. Yeah, so this was after he left WCW. He came to ECW and had a program with Shane Douglas, and then he had teamed up with Too Cold Scorpio a couple times.
Lost to Mikey Whipwreck.
And yet somehow that transition when you went to WF to gladiator gimmick, which
you know what? I want to know whose fault was that.
I'm betting it's someone. I probably think it's Jim Hurd somehow because they wanted this gladiator gimmick so bad on Ric Flair. He's like, just somehow he was like, he's gonna get this gladiator so hard.
Well, you forgot that he was going under the name Farouk Assad, and it was like, hey, Farouk, he's a gladiator, and that's what we're going with. And then I guarantee you, Ron was like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna go Black Militant. Does that work? All right.
Nah. By what I hear, Ron was all for it.
Wow, he really was.
I was gonna say you.
There are some gimmicks. See, here's the thing. The one thing I've learned about, especially old '90s WWF, these guys said yes.
Yeah. I mean, you say no. That's like, yeah, okay.
Like, because you gotta think about it. For some people, it was like, fuck no, I ain't doing that. I ain't gonna do that on that gimmick. And then someone was like, look, Vince was sitting in that office for a full-on 5 hours. That was the best they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
The body was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Well,
might as well.
But yeah, it was like, Ron Simmons. I said you have Ron Simmons come in there for a little stint.
Never ever.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You know, that poor guy. I'm like, man, they stuck him with that. I was like, no, man.
Oh yeah.
And then also, Brian Pillman.
That's another one.
Brian Pillman, and this was like after he left WCW, and this was prior to him. I don't know if this is. I think it was either prior to him going to WWE, or he was in WWE, then he left, and then went back. But
no, it was prior. It was prior.
Oh, it was prior.
Was this the time that he wanted to tie himself up to a goalpost and have him film like the Super Bowl or something like that? Was it that time saying he got connected and felt like, come on, let's tie me up and I could just promote this whole thing. Come on, it'd be fun. That dude that connect said, nope, I ain't.
Something like that. It was there was a bunch of people before they went to WWE. They went to ECW. It was weird. It was like because it was the same thing that happened to Austin, where
and that was the best thing that happened for Stone Cold.
Yeah. Like with Austin, much like with Austin, where everybody that left WCW, they got booted out by Bischoff. And I say booted out. That's kind of a rough way of saying it, because some of the motherfuckers needed to get fired, and then some of the motherfuckers didn't need to get fired. And Bischoff was like, "Look, man, bottom line, dog." So
yeah, I honestly believe that Stone Cold getting the boot or the way he got booted, that's cold. Like, he was injured. Like, he got injured, and then he didn't even get a call. He got like a fax or something or something in the mail talking about, yeah, you're fired.
Sorry.
And then so then he calls up, or Paul calls up Steve and is like, hey man, I heard you're going through some time. How about you come to Philly, air out your grievances there? And that was like one of my favorite promos. Is when Stone Cold is, he's not like imitating Bischoff or Hulk Hogan or anything like that. It's just him in front of that camera, and he's spilling the tea. He's throwing out receipts about his stunt in WCW, and it was just like, woo, oh man. And he was talking about I guess he was like, started begging about, please Eric, take me back, Eric, please. It was like, whoa. Like, as a youngster, when I first saw that, it was like, oh, whoa, this is, whoa.
Hey, I forgot the Full-Blooded Italians started off in the ECW.
Oh yeah,
wasn't that late ECW they showed up
96 around there?
Yeah, it was around like 96, 97.
Yeah,
and only like one or maybe two people were actually Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was like Nuzio, and the other two weren't.
Yeah, like Lil Guido, one of them else was Italian, and then everyone else was just like, all right, screw it. It was like the Dudleys. It was like, we got nothing to do with you. Make him a Dudley.
Forgot Big Vito too.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like, we don't know what to do with this guy, Paulie. Well, put him with the Full-Blooded Italians, or put him with the Dudleys. And that's why the Dudleys had like 9 or 10 people in ECW.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Dudleys, it's really telling when you see the Dudleys and what they meant to wrestling, period, because you'll see, especially when you look at old Dudley stuff and you see how Bubba used to talk to the crowd, that never changed.
Oh no, it didn't.
That never changed. I remember as recently when they were still a part of WWE, when Bubba was still there, I was at a Baltimore show, and the Dudleys weren't wrestling that night, and it was so funny. It was in between a commercial break. I forgot who was wrestling. It was another tag match, and all of a sudden, like, all of a sudden you heard Bubba come out like, wait a minute. I know everybody's looking at a match, but this is Baltimore, and usually me and Devon come out and we say a few words, but then we said, hey, this is Baltimore. You don't deserve it, but bro, the Ravens. He went during the whole commercial break. While there's 2 people in the ring wrestling, he's cutting a promo. I'm like, yo, this is some heel shit. And I'm thinking to myself, why would somebody put this on television? Why would they put it on? Whatever. I think it's funny how even like looking back then, Bubba had the crowd eating out of his hands because every week somebody would try to say something to insult him, and then Bubba just would clap back so hard and so
it was
vicious.
so quick. It was so quick with the snapback.
It was just amazing, man. It was just amazing. So it was really cool to see that. Also, I can imagine. I forgot who it was, but who was it? There's a story about there's a story that happened in backstage when it came to one of the females about Devon, and Devon was sleeping with her. New Jack was telling the story. New Jack was like, he's like, yeah, and he was with Devon. Don't tell nobody, but Devon was married at the time. I hate New Jack so much. I love that story, man. I forgot. Was he talking about They wasn't Chastity. I forgot who it was, man. But boy, I was like, they wrong as shit, man. He wrong as shit, man. Just spilling the whole tea out about everything. But anyway, but the Dudleys, as far as their matches, though, I don't know. It's kind of funny. I'm very vague on their matches because there were like 60 Dudleys. I was so vague on their matches.
Right, and like I said, is because of the fact, the reason why there were so many Dudleys, because they were like, we don't know what to do with you, so we're just going to make you a Dudley. Like there was Bubba Ray.
Oh, the Pitbulls need somebody.
Right?
Of course they
like,
needed them.
Yeah, of course they needed them. One of them got like injured and was gone for like most of the time. But yeah, so let's see. Dudley's, you had Bubba Ray, you had Devon, you had Sign Guy Dudley.
Sign guy, I've got a sign guy Dudley, yeah.
Big Dick Dudley.
Yes. Oh my God, it's the 90s. It's the 90s. All right, first off, that is the sign of the 90s.
And we just lost CJ.
Oh my God, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so you had Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon, Big Dick Dudley, Sign Guy Dudley,
Spike Dudley,
Tie-Dye Guy Dudley. You had Spike Dudley, D.W. Dudley, who...
Thank you.
I'm trying to think.
It's a big family tree.
Yeah, it was a whole run, and I think I already named like 7 of them. But yeah, and I'm just like, man. And one of my favorite moments when it came to the Dudleys was the debut of Devon, because when Devon came, that was when it was like the struggle of the power. It was like the power struggle of who really runs the Dudley family. Was it Big Dick Dudley or was it Devon? And then it was like, next thing you know, it was like then they all came together, and then that's where we heard the 3 commandments that Devon always said: "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not fuck with the Dudleys."
Basically. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, the Dudleys were kind of like the institution of ECW. I mean, it was either them or RVD or Sabu. They were like, you see ECW, you just remember Dudley's tables and just all so fucked up stuff.
Yep. You know what? Of course, you also have to add Taz in there just as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me. I actually think that their legacy lived on stronger than anybody else's outside of ECW. To me, I mean, that's not taken away from what Rob did, and that's not taken away from what Taz has done. But when it really comes to them, they broke records, like, period. This Devon and Bubba Ray being the tag team that they were, getting the titles that they were. I mean, not just WWF, but they end up getting in TNA. They end up getting in New Japan. They end up getting in everywhere they went to, and everywhere they, and they became something bigger. They end up having their own school.
And 24-time champs of them together. That's the new record. And with Bubba teaming with the Briscoes and ROH, and him winning the 3-man tag team belt with them. Does that make him a 25-time champ now?
I don't know. That was that's a 3-man one. That's a little bit different. So I don't know. But still, it's just the fact that that what they did, the legacy that they left on, the fact that you have Bubba, who is in everybody's ear, everybody that's younger than him, he's trying to make better. When he was it was so cool, because I thought it was cool as hell when they came to WWE. That's all really the reason why they came back, was basically just to sprinkle some love on the young wrestlers and try to make them work harder and do whatever they wanted. The fact that Bubba left and went over to Ring of Honor, and I know he's doing it in the Ring of Honor. The fact that Devon's a fucking, he's working backstage now for WWF. WWE. It's amazing just the legacy that they left behind, man. And I just think that's very cool, man. I just think that's insanely cool. Yeah. Now, somebody more fun. Now that somebody on fun, we keep on skipping over that motherfucker. I think straight up the best wrestler in ECW, Rob Van Dam.
Yep, Mr. Weed Man himself.
Best wrestler?
Wow. The best one. I think I will go that far. I think I will. I'm not saying the best mat wrestler, and I'm not going that far. No, I'm not.
Notable wrestlers. When people think Rob Van Dam, they think ECW.
They think ECW.
I was going to say, because if we're going best mat wrestler in ECW, I'm saying Taz.
That's probably Taz, and you could make an argument probably for somebody else. I don't know. I can't think of nobody right now.
Exactly, but at the moment, all I can think about is Taz, and one of my favorite submission holds Takata Hajime, the Taz mission.
It's one of the most overrated single player. No,
Right.
it's only overrated if you had that one friend. And we all had that one friend that thought Taz was like the greatest wrestler of all time, man.
I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I mean, he is in my top 5. He is in my top 5 of all time wrestlers. Of wrestlers, period. He is in the top 5.
Friend. And see, you would have been
No.
as a kid. Overhyped Jesus out of Taz, man. Oh, I hated them so much. It's like, it's no knock on both of these wrestlers, but to me, I had several friends that overrated British Bulldog and Taz. They both treated these two wrestlers like they were the greatest thing ever, and I just sat there like, shut up the entire
Now, I will
time.
say this. As a fan of Taz, I hated the Tasmaniac gimmick.
I did too.
I hated that gimmick. And because it was like, dude, like, what is this? And then when he just dropped the Tasmaniac and was just Taz, it was like, yes. It's like I said, especially when they had that program of him and Sabu, when something like seriously went down between him, Sabu, and Paul Lee. And then like Sabu, after like Sabu, I guess, contract or something or previous obligations, couldn't make it to the ECW taping and didn't let Paul Lee know. And then Paul Lee was like, yeah, Sabu is gone. Like he's not gonna come back. And then I guess Sabu and Paul Lee, buried the hatchet. And then when Paul Lee was like, turn off the lights. Just turn off the lights. And then they turn off the lights and then Sabu comes back in, and that was when Taz went on his rant of, I want Sabu. And it was like a year's worth of just build up between him and Sabu. And then just that match with them at Barely Legal. Whew. That was
legit heat. Legit heat.
It was legit heat. Like legit heat backstage, and it executed so perfect, so well on the screen. But yeah, like Taz and the Taz mission Taz mission is one of my favorite submission holds.
I hated that. No, it actually was kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I did say that I hated people overhyping Taz. I did act hype when he did show up on WWF. I was like, what the fuck?
Man, you heard that song? It was like, yo.
When he debuted, like the build up for it, like when I saw that the build up for it, I was like, yo, there's my boy. And then when he came out and put Kurt Angle in that Taz mission, man.
It was a great idea to put him in New York in the Royal Rumble back 2000. That was the real way to actually debut him in that same familiar crowd and that environment. That was really good.
And then not only that, but apparently...
What really sucked was the fact that he got hurt. Oh, you want to talk about somebody just... You know what? When I think about it, I don't know how far he would have got if he stayed healthy, to be honest with you. And that's kind of weird. I know that sounds.
I think at best he would have been a mid ground, that type of stuff. I bet he was probably happy being a commentator and now being a podcast. He's happy with that.
Yeah, but like seriously, if he didn't get hurt, man.
There's only like at least 2 or 3 more people I would have loved to see him wrestle. I don't think it would have made too much of a difference though. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Especially at that time in the 90s. I know with Brock he's Suplex City, but Taz was Suplex City before Suplex City was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like Taz was a suplex machine. And Chris Benoit was also a suplex machine just as well. When he came to ECW, and of course that he came in around the same time that Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero came. Which, by the way, that's one of my favorite matches. Best 2 out of 3, the 2 out of 3 match, or what they like to call the Dean and Eddie Classic of ECW before both of them left.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh yeah, like whenever I see a 2 out of 3 falls singles match on anywhere else, and this is just me, I and I try not to, but I always compare it to the Eddie Dean or the Eddie Malenko classic match, and it's just as much as everyone's been good, nothing compares to that match.
Yeah,
nothing compares.
It's like,
I think the best one. I think the one match that you can kind of say meets that expectation was the Cesaro Sami Zayn match in NXT when NXT had their first thing on the network when the network first started.
Oh yes, that takeover.
Yeah, at the first takeover when it was Cesaro and Zayn, and they had a 2 out of 3, and that's the only one that I think is on par with the Eddie Guerrero Dean Malenko classic.
You know, it's kind of funny you say that. To me, I don't think nothing touched that one, actually. See, that's the funny thing. I've seen in WWE and in elsewhere, I've seen some pretty good 2 out of 3s. Mm-hmm. Nothing beats that one with Eddie and Dean Malenko. And I think it's just more so, at least for you and me, that may have been the first one that we seen that was worth a damn. And it can't be touched by nothing. And it can't be touched by nobody else. You know what I mean? It's almost to
that's
the
like how
same
with people
extent.
when it comes to like whenever you see ladder matches, people like to compare it to the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match at WrestleMania.
Like I seen a bunch of people, like I made fun of certain people for this. Like to me, I see it with Iron Man matches too. I see it with 2 Iron Man matches. Either you like Kurt and Brock, or you like Shawn and Brett. It matters which one that you see as a kid to me. That's kind of how that falls on that one for me.
Almost
but
definitely.
But I agree with you though. I don't think nothing beats Eddie and Dean Malenko. You can't beat that to me. Yeah. And it was just, I think it was just one of those things where you had 2 special wrestlers have a really special match. Like I like and like the only one, like at least the best one I've seen in memory besides the Cesaro and Zayn one I really liked was I hate myself for saying this, Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. I liked it because it actually put Sheamus over, but I was looking the whole time like, holy shit, Daniel about to win this motherfucker.
Oh wait, was that the 18 seconds thing when he just got
No. That was after. Remember they got screwed up after that, and they was like, and they had like I think it was Daniel trying to get the belt back from him.
Yeah, that was
2 out of 3 fall. That was an incredible match. But then I think about Eddie and Dean Malenko, and I think about how long it was, and I think about how much. When I think about it now, how underrated Dean Malenko was.
Almost definitely. I mean?
Yeah, so
the shooter Dean Malenko.
So the man 1,000 holes.
He ain't better than a man with 1,001 holes, though. I can tell you that much.
Number 1, armbar.
Armbar right now. Let's go.
But yeah, like the and I guess another reason why a lot of people hold the Eddie Guerrero Dean Malenko Classic 2 out of 3 Falls match on the pedestal that we put it on is because of the fact that it like feels like they like Paulie was like, listen, this is the only thing that's happening. This is the only thing that's happening tonight. Eddie and Dean, you guys got like an hour or so. Go at it. Like, and he gave them like a full hour. It wasn't like, all right, you guys got to have a 2 out of 3 falls match, and you guys got to do it within 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 15. No, he's saying, listen, you guys go out there. This show is just you guys. Go at it. And and
that's what really did it. They had a chance to freestyle and be them, and that was how ECW was, to its own detriment. That's what made ECW so good, was the fact that they can do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And I think that was also the reason why I think ECW sucked.
It was a gift and a curse.
It's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse. And I was trying to explain that to somebody on my board. You know, I say that to anybody who sucks the dick of NXT way too hard, because I'm like, I like NXT, but man, they need to do this. They need to do easy. Outside that arena, you can't do that nowhere else. So easy.
Nah.
So there's always like rules and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the main reason why, because they had freedom. And when you give two, and when I'm gonna put pepper on this word, when you have two wrestlers that have like that. And I'm not talking about wrestlers that need to be told in there. Eddie had about what? He was wrestling by, at that point, about 20-something years. Dean, same thing.
I was about to say, Eddie Guerrero was wrestling as he came out the womb.
That's what I'm saying. Eddie was. Dean, he was wrestling since he was a teenager. You had about 20-something years of experience. I mean, no, about 40-something combined years of experience in that ring with each other to make that freaking match. Just one of those special times, man. And guess what? And guess what? I bet Dave Meltzer only gave it 3 stars.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did.
Are we gonna remiss on not talking about Tommy Dreamer?
Oh no,
the heart and soul of ECW. The one person you will always think of when you think of
the man that has kept it alive with the House of Hardcore.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The man who refused to wear the green suspenders.
The man that refuses to wrestle without his shirt off. I mean, that shirt has been on Tommy since he was like what? Since he hit like what, 39? He has not taken his shirt off.
Like that
right.
ECW.
Well, no, technically he did. I think it was the ENC Show of Awesomeness. He took his whole. You saw why he just keeps his shirt on. Just say that.
Yeah, because after his storyline with Sandman, when he had to if he lost, he had to get caned 10 times. Which, by the way, I'm gonna tell you, as someone who has gotten hit with a kendo stick, they hurt. They hurt like heck. And so, like watching that, and when he just taking those lashes, just taking it, I was just like, Tommy, just stop. I was like Joey. I was like, Tommy, we get it. You're tough. Just you don't have to do anymore. You don't have to do anymore.
Did he then say, "Please, sir, can I have another"? Did he do
yes.
that? Yeah, I thought so.
That was a thank you, sir. May I have another? Because woman was like, or Nancy was like, I can stop this. All you have to do is just kiss my feet. And he was just like, can I have another? Can I have another? And you can just hear Joey.
Wait. Who did he say this to?
Nancy Benoit.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say. I was like, hold on, Nancy Benoit. Oh, yeah, that's right. She was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was also, I think this was after the storyline where Tommy had hit Sandman across the face, and everyone thought that he was legit blind because of that.
Shit.
Yeah, and Tommy had stated on interviews and whatnot that everyone was like, man, you blinded Sandman, and it was like to that point where Sandman was so dedicated to the story that he didn't leave the house.
That's BS. That's BS. Sandman was too drunk to leave the house.
Or even to remember.
So yeah, it was like he didn't leave the house for anything. And then when it was time to reveal that he wasn't really blind, it was like, whoa. So, but yeah, Tommy Dreamer, like I said, that match, that moment is what set him up to be like the innovator of violence and the heart and soul of ECW. Because after that was when he went on to feud with Raven, and then the whole Beulah McGillicuddy incident and all that stuff.
Man, I mean, but it's amazing to me that, like, with Tommy Dreamer and just everything that was happening and stuff, Paul Heyman.
Smart when it comes to ideas. Like, of course, this is all his brainchild and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it like this, and I think Rob Van Dam said the same thing when Cesaro was supposed to be a Heyman guy, and Rob Van Dam was like, "Listen, you want someone to turn you into a star? He's your guy, but I don't trust him with your money. But don't trust him with your money."
But you hate to hear, because you're thinking, hey, Paul Heyman can't be that bad, and it's like,
yeah.
Paul sucked with money. Paul just became every other promoter, and he became every other promoter that wasn't Vince.
I mean, that was
just you didn't know how to balance money for shit.
I mean, that was the reason why Mike Awesome bounced to WCW, because it was like, man, Paul Heyman didn't fucking pay me for shit, so I just went to WCW. They're gonna pay me.
You know,
which I gotta be real with Mike. That was smart, because let's be real about this. WCW was just paying anybody to fucking whatever money they wanted. So that was smart.
Right. and you want to talk about how bad he is with money? The Dudley Boys asked for a $1 raise in their contracts, and they was willing to stay in ECW before going to WWE. And Paul was like, "Nah, I can't do it." And then they left. But
gentlemen, please, if I give you $1, I have to give everyone.
I have to give Sabu $1? I gotta give Sandman $1? No.
You know what? That's probably exactly what he said too.
Mm-hmm.
He used that logic. If I give you that, I gotta give it to everybody else. And like, look,
acting like a teacher from like middle school or something like that, man. Like, look, if you got
like come for the rest of the class.
Yeah,
that logic that doesn't work, man. And it just sucks that and I heard Heyman got to the point where people didn't get paid for months.
No,
I mean, they TNA and Global Force Wrestling levels, but goddamn,
no,
close.
It was just as bad because, ironically enough, he worked there. James Mitchell was just like said a story about him being in TNA where they didn't pay him for months, and to the point where he was like, "Well, you know what? Just keep the money. I don't give a fuck."
Right? Like Sinister Minister.
He was I forgot he was at ECW, man, and how he was always doing that weird crap. Oh yes, what we have here. Like he used to have a really decent character.
The unholy alliance between Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri with Sinister Minister as the manager.
I got to be honest with you. When I see this shit, it hears me. What the fuck are y'all showing? What is this?
Yep. I mean, you say that.
No, you know what? You know how to say it. D, it's the 90s, okay? It's the 90s.
I mean, you say that, D. I tend to forget. So you just said it. I tend to forget. Mikey Whipwreck was a wrestler.
Yeah,
Mikey.
Yeah. Forget that. People forget about that, man.
Yeah, and he got victories over Steve Austin. I think he was champion.
He was the first ECW Triple Crown champion.
I was just about to say that. Did he get like a TV title or some shit like that?
Yeah, he won. His first title was with Cactus Jack. They beat the Public Enemy, and at the time he didn't even know moves. He only knew like a roll up or something. He only knew roll up, and then that's when they won the tag team championships. And then he won the television championship, and then he won the ECW heavyweight championship. So yeah, he was the first Triple Crown champion for ECW.
Yeah, I mean, and then yeah. And
you want to talk about seeing someone progress in ECW? Mikey Whipwreck is that guy.
And then, then those injuries, the herniated discs, the knees,
And then he went over to WCW thinking everything was going to be good, and yeah, okay.
And there's a problem, you go into WCW in the late 90s, you're going to get buried under all the ridiculous shit that was going down around that time. So it's like, yeah, nobody cared about you, Mikey. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And so, I'm trying to think of match like matches that when you think Mikey Whipwreck, like I guess you could say like the one match that I can only think of off the top of my head when I think Mikey Whipwreck is his when they won the tag team titles with Mick Foley.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
I remember when he teamed up with freaking Public Enemy against Sandman, Too Cold, and New Jack. That was ridiculous. I think that was what, Gangsta Paradise match?
I think so.
Yeah.
And speaking of teams, New Jack just like kept on bouncing back and forth between teams. Like he was with Mustafa and the Gangsters.
I was about to say New Jack was on with the gangsters. When he with the pit bulls at one time, and when he worked with Public Enemy at another time.
And then when Perry Saturn left, he and let's see, it was Cronus. Was it Cronus? Yeah, it was Cronus and New Jack became the Eliminate Gangsters. So you pretty much had one half of the Gangsters, one half of the Eliminators, and they just combined it to become the Eliminators or something like that. And I think he won the tag titles with Cronus.
And see, this is when you knew Paul Heyman stopped giving a crap.
Yup, pretty much. And talking about the Eliminators and the Gangsters, that was one of my favorite like tag team feuds, especially when they won when the Gangsters won the titles over against the Eliminators, because like we said earlier with New Jack, that man could, when it comes to promos, New Jack, and so he had that somber moment where he was making the promo about, like he was at home or something, and his mom called and said that like his cousin or his nephew had died, and they didn't have enough money for the tombstone and all that. And he went to Mustafa, and Mustafa looked at him and was like, "Yo, man, like, what's wrong?" And New Jack was like, "Dude, we gotta win the titles at all costs." And so, they win the titles, and then so, of course, ECW being ECW, they always end the show with a promo. So you got New Jack with the title talking about, "Yeah, man, we got that money. We on our way back home. Don't worry, Ma. We about to get that tombstone." And the next thing you know, Perry Saturn comes and attacks him from behind, takes the money, and goes, "Yo, screw the kid. Screw that tombstone. This all money now."
God, I forgot Perry Saturn. That's another dude that was like ECW alum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
And I would say that there's a lot of WCW people that you may think started in WCW, but no, ECW was where they started.
Wasn't like Ultimo Dragon and Rey Mysterio on them in the ECW too?
Like I said, it was Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, I think Ultimo Guerrero. But yeah, moving to pretty much all the luchadors, and Conan was in ECW prior to going to WCW, and then Bischoff saw that and was like, "Hey, I'll pick you guys up."
Money, yeah.
Yeah, and then because of that, everyone thinks that Bischoff was the one who brought in, the luchadors, and it's like, no, you weren't.
Now I gotta ask you guys. So when ECW shut down and they got absorbed by WWE, what did you think of them being brought back as like a separate, like basically, brand, basically?
Well,
you mean after the
One Night Stand 2? I thought that was a nice idea.
I thought
it was a good idea, but it was broke down to too much nostalgia of ECW guys. But once it got rid of that somewhat and actually focused on developing new stars, kind of like with NXT of, what it became, not what it was after, because that was terrible. But the way it was slowly building up the stars, I actually liked it as a third brand, a developmental brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought ECW, I thought it was going to be bigger than what it was. I thought it was going to be, I wouldn't say bigger than what it was, but I agree with Duke. It was one of those things where you could see they was actually developing people. The problem was people didn't care. That was the real big thing. People didn't care. And you saw it on like several of their pay-per-views where the audience just didn't give a crap. You know what I mean? So it really did suck. There was some good, but there was a lot of BS. And that's what
if they weren't in the ECW heavy areas like Chicago, Detroit, New York, Philly, maybe some areas down south just as well. But if they weren't in those venues, then the audience was dead. Henceforth, and I think, for me, when it came back and was WWECW, the beginning, it was great. Because of the fact that they was doing it in the Hammerstein Ballroom, they continue to keep it within that ECW atmosphere, but because of the fact that most of the crowd was ROH guys, it was ROH fans, and they couldn't really. I guess Vince was like, "Yeah, we gotta have to do something about this," and just switch it up there.
When you see that bottom line, that's pretty much what killed it. When that bottom line didn't show up like it should have shown up, that's what really killed it.
Oh yeah, but like I said, or like Duke was saying, and you did, when they started bringing in talent, and they used ECW as a way to try to rebuild certain people like The Miz and John Morrison, and that's when they also had Matt Striker, who was still trying to be a wrestler.
What if he had his face on his ass for some reason?
Yeah, and that's when you also had Elijah Burke. And
Elijah Burke should have been something. He should have been something.
And he had his tag team partner. Who was that guy with him?
Who cares?
I don't know. Somebody that left.
Yeah, some guy who was only there for a cup of coffee and then left. But and you had like I said, you had Elijah Burke. You had the New Breed, and then that's when they brought in CM Punk. And out of all of them, the one person that I'll say was if they really let ECW be ECW, CM Punk would have been the best person to be the face of the company of EW, or the ECW brand, was CM Punk.
Well, that could have happened, but then again,
but like you said, because of the bottom line, and also because of the fact that once Vince saw what was going on, it was like, yeah, we're pulling the plug on this.
You know what? And you know what Duke was just about to say. December to Dismember was bad on so many different
God.
The only match with the best match was just two teams that weren't even on the brand of wasn't even the ECW brand. That's all I gotta say about that pay-per-view. In fact, I did a review about it, and I regret that ever since, because that brew is just cheesy.
Right, wasn't that the Hardys and the world's greatest tag team?
No, Eminem, and that match went like 30 minutes.
Oh, and that gruesome spot where Joey Mercury's face hits the ladder?
No, that was like years later, I think. A year later or something like that. But no, this is 2007. I don't think they were tag champions. You had Melina screaming and yelling, and
yeah, that pay-per-view was
whole fake.
horrible.
They're trying to be that fake ECW crowd, like chanting all this stuff, and it was terrible. The crowd size wasn't there. And it was actually the lowest buy rate, by the way, 90,000 buys.
Damn.
And what was it? If I remember, I heard Pritchard talk about. They was like, "So what did you think about the show?" He's like, "Shit show. There's no way getting out." He's like, "That you can't get around how bad it was," and they was asking good questions like, "What happened?" It's like the fans were latching on. The old fans didn't like it. The new fans didn't like it. Then you had these people in the middle that cared, but they weren't watching it. It sucks.
And Lashley, who was like, they booed him. You know what, man? It's just amazing. All these fans hate Lashley. Now they love him now.
What you say?
They love Lashley now for the most part. I mean, he revived himself when he went to TNA. Funny enough.
I don't know. Lashley always came off like a C- wrestler to me, but he's good. He's all right.
Well, you remember that time Lashley won all the belts in ECW? That was fun, wasn't it?
No,
but he did have that great moment when he knocked the cage down and took down Umaga.
Yeah, that was something.
I gotta ask a question for you guys. This other one. Clearly, you can't have a wrestling promotion without having video games. Did any of y'all play both of the ECW games?
No. Not a nail one. And I still want to play, I think it was called ECW Anarchy. They say that's the worst wrestling game of all time.
I played Hardcore Revolution. It was okay. That's all I can really say. It was okay. It was an Acclaim. It was an Acclaim game. What can you really say about Acclaim in wrestling games? It's kind of like it was. The thing about that game was it came out, I believe, after WWF Attitude. So basically, everything that you knew about WWF, that's what ECW Hardcore Revolution was. Anarchy, yeah, that was a garbage ass game. Period. Top to bottom.
I wanted to play Anarchy, so I still do. Because I heard it's like top to bottom so terrible. But it's so terrible at this point to me, it's like, I want to play it. I want to actually feel how bad it is.
I mean, you only dude, from what I remember, you were given the bare minimum of arenas and stuff. House, brick, ECW Stadium, and the back lot. That's it. So yeah.
Sounds fine enough to me.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's like, that's all I get, huh? All right, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like ECW was the gold standard of video games and stuff anyway. I mean,
nah. You know what? It's sick. It's sick. I know more people that play backyard wrestling than they play the ECW games, man. That's amazing.
You want to know why? Because of goddamn Insane Clown Posse. That's why.
That's why.
ICP. So ICP is the reason why. You know what, man?
Hey, they were on the face of the fucking backyard games. You can't. Hey, shit, that shit sold.
Backyard wrestling. There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, there you go. I
mean, let's see. I was gonna ask you guys. So, I've said a couple of my favorite matches in ECW, but when you guys think ECW, what's the one match you guys think of, or the one storyline that you guys can think of?
Well, go ahead, D.
Oh, you already said several of them, several storylines. I think the only one I can add on to is when. Actually, you know what? I'll add it on there. There's only one match that we did not mention, and it's not really part of the old ECW. It's part of the newer ECW. It was on One Night Stand, and that's Rob Van Dam versus John Cena. I thought that was an incredible match. Just the atmosphere to the actual match, I thought was really, really great, man. That's when you can really tell that it was really like that was truly ECW, like really trying to carry Rob Van Dam to that victory. It was so awesome. And then Rob Van Dam, Sabu got high and all that. What the hell?
It's like, how did he relinquish the belt that quick? Oh, that's right.
They got caught. They got caught on the side of the road.
Oh, yes. I actually I think there's a newspaper article that says, from the town. I got to look that up. If I can find it, I'll give it to you.
There's video out. They said there's video out on the internet of that arrest now. Now they asked Bruce Pritchard about that. Bruce Pritchard said, "How did Vince take all this?" And he was like, "Vince, amazingly, Vince was like, oh goddamn, pal, it's just weed."
Vince, man, is just odd. You don't understand. If you sneeze in front of him, he thinks you're the devil. But if he's just get caught smoking weed, it's like, man, this is bullshit. Who cares, man?
I know, right? He's like, it's just a joint. Come on.
I think for me, I think ECW, it's anything dealing with Terry Funk's crazy ass. I mean, I gotta be real. Anything he does is like, all right, what's Terry Funk gonna get into now? Oh, barbed wire match with the bat. Okay, shit, let's go.
Duke,
the barbed wire. Oh well, to me, the best ECW thing I've watched or match was to me, honestly. The best ECW match I've seen was the ECW Elimination Chamber back in December. I'm just playing. But it was a good match between. Let's see, it was when it was in when it was Sabu versus Rey Mysterio. That match was a tie. I thought that was Sabu and Rey Mysterio had great chemistry with each other, and it's a shame they never really completed that. I understand they couldn't do a real finish because they didn't want they just said there was no real way to finish the match, but I wish they could have had a sequel to that match or the next review or something like that because that is a hanging question. I still wish they could have just do that for once because I think that would have been. Imagine Sabu, Rey Mysterio one more time. I think that would have been great.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of my other favorite programs, and I guess because of the fact that out of the four of us, I saw more of ECW because of the fact that which by the way, we really didn't get into location. I mean, CJ did say it's under I-95, but like it literally was, like I said in the beginning, it's right next to the arena is right next to the this shopping place called Foreman Mills.
Foreman Mills. Sorry,
yes,
I had to say that.
Stretch those bills, Foreman Mills, y'all. Anyway, but like I remember going, like we used to go to that Foreman Mills for clothes, to shop for clothes, and you would see a line of people. Just the line was so long, and there was a little sign, little white cardboard poster, and it had written ECW tickets inside. And I remember seeing it. I would always remember seeing it, and I'm like, "Ooh, what's this?" And my mom was like, "No, we're not gonna get to see that."
Well, you forget too. Before like they really established ECW Arena, they were wrestling at the Radisson Hotel. I remember the Valley Forge Center they wrestled at, and I think it was one of the community centers around that they wrestled at too.
They wrestled in Glen Olden, Pennsylvania. It was, I believe, it was one of the community centers in Glen Olden. And like I said, the old ECW arena.
Flagstaff.
Yeah. Trying to think of other, and then of course like the go-to was the Hammerstein Ballroom whenever they got to New York.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So they were around the area basically for the most part. I mean, they got around.
Yeah, and but yeah, one of my other favorite moments, and I really can't, or one of my favorite programs, Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam. I'm surprised you didn't say anything about that, D.
You know what? Because I forgot about that actually. I'm dead serious. That's no knock on it, man. I was trying to think of other matches I couldn't think of. I was like, there's got to be something for Rob Van Dam, and I was coming up on zeros for some reason, and that's probably why I read that one. But nah, that's the famous one that everybody mentions. That's almost
because that was during Rob Van Dam's it was like damn near 2-year title reign as the television champion.
That was if a lot of people I would compare it only in like the same type of light, at least the ECW way of saying it. That was like Steamboat versus Savage. Everybody, like, that's everybody's favorite one, which is Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn. I don't know why the fuck I did not mention that shit. I remember.
And I think one of my favorite, and I think a lot of people remember that, is because of the fact that that was when Jerry Lynn was saying that he's the new whole effing show, and then Rob came back and was like, "Nah, bro, we ain't doing that." And then I think one of my favorite moments is they was during one of the matches, he throws Rob Van Dam, puts Jerry Lynn in, I think it was either the first or second row of seats. He walks on the other side, and then just makes a beeline and dives over the barricade, and just clotheslines Jerry Lynn. Jeez. I was like, holy crap. Like, the things that RVD did was just, like you guys say, like, you can't say ECW and not mention Rob Van Dam, especially when he was doing that, had that 23-month title reign.
You know what, the one person that we didn't mention, and you're going to be like, holy shit, we didn't. I remember him being a lot smaller and his promos being so vicious. Rhino.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rhino to me is probably top 3 in that company when it comes to him and his promos. All of his promos were fucking... I don't know. It was kind of funny. And
he was young too. That's what the one that crazy about it. It's like Rhino, man. Says, "Oh, nah, man. He was young back in those. He was like in his early 20s. He didn't know how to do all this type of stuff. But he just had that face, that gruffy face that just feel like he just been through a lot of crap for 20 years. Not as bad as Arn Anderson, though, who looked like he was like born 60, but you know.
Dude,
He was born 60.
No bullshit. No, he ain't. Look. Duke is about to get some backup on this because I agree. Because I was watching him and Tully Blanchard, right? I'm like, damn, man. This happened back when? 89? Damn, man. Tully was 28. What? Tully Blanchard was in his early 30s. Looked like he was 49. That makes no sense.
Arn Anderson ages in dog years. That's what happened.
Ages in dog years. Oh my God.
I know Rhino as a wrestler was not defined at that point. To me, he wasn't. But when he got out of it was so weird to me. When he got out of ECW, went to WWF, and he got his Rhino gimmick where he was just going people and all that. All of a sudden, he found a center. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Only thing that I did not like was the fact that he lost that mouth. He didn't have those promos no more and all that. And that was just really weird to me. And I'm thinking to myself, why did he stop doing that when he got to WWF? And I thought for a second, well, probably because he couldn't say fuck. And Rhino was like, that's all right.
He had a bit of a sweary mouth. That was, you know.
That dog. Even in the attitude there was like, look, dog, you can't say that about the Jewish people, man.
And Heyman probably was like looking like, man, just every time if I look at that stuff while he was just saying that stuff, he's probably in the back in the position, be like, man,
like Rhino, that was very good. I wouldn't be, but if I can say one thing. Don't say that about the black people anymore. We don't need that. That's the heat we don't need.
But yeah, you know, he did mind
at a minimum.
Yeah, he minded. Yeah, he didn't mind that one with Brian Pillman when that dude he just called he just walked up with the gangs. Who was Mustafa and
New Jack.
Yeah, he said niggas with attitude. I'm like, whoa, he did not care. That's what you call living the gimmick, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, and you're talking about bringing up people that we like. The minute we say it, right? Oh, how come we didn't talk about that? Impact players.
Boo! That's man.
Lance Storm and Just Incredible. Which, by the way, last I heard, Just Incredible working at Olive Garden.
Well, by the way, he was formerly Aldero Montoya wearing a jockstrap on his head, and then after that, he got completely murked by Stone Cold. So, you know.
It's true. Now, last I heard, Just Incredible, he was completely high out of his mind at that Shane Douglas show that happened a couple of years ago. And I haven't heard from him since then. And
he was earlier this year.
I'm about to say I haven't heard from him. Now I know he's not wrestling Just Incredible no more. And that was one of the weirdest stories that came out of wrestling. Everybody thought oh man, WWE owes his name. That's so stupid. Yada 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 yada. And finally, Justin came out actually what had happened was I sold my name to this motherfucker, and I can't use my name no more.
It's yeah, good job, Justin. Good job.
I think his name, he's going PJ Palabo or some shit like that.
But he's got his money. He's chilling right now. He's chilling, ladies and gentlemen.
He's chilling. I hope he really is off of any type of because it's kind of funny. You know, we mentioned about him. Hold on, I'm gonna get back to the Impact players though. Denzel. But we mentioned a lot about all these wrestlers. The one thing we didn't mention about was the drug use.
Oh my God,
And how many drug addicts came from ECW?
What? Drugs in ECW? What?
Surely you jest.
No.
I remember
the only person that I will say that a lot of people try to bring up shit on is Chris Benoit. No, he wasn't.
Shocking.
What happened to Chris had nothing to do with drugs, and it didn't start in ECW. ECW does get a lot of the blame for his brain damage. No, blame Japan more than anybody else for that. So I'm just saying, that's one thing I had to bring up when it came to the drug stuff. Don't put none of that on Chris Benoit.
Speaking of Chris Benoit, what'd you guys think about when they came out with Triple Threat? ECW's answer to the Four Horsemen, Triple Threat.
Oh God, I don't even remember that. I remember somebody mentioning it at school and everybody laughing them off.
Yeah, because it was originally Shane, Malenko, and Benoit. And
I gotta be honest with you. Shane, come here real quick. Come here. Get your ass somewhere. Go somewhere.
Shut your face.
I'm like, yes. Triple Threat.
And then after Malenko and Benoit left, then it was Shane, Chris Candido, and oh crap, who was
Please let it be a better wrestler than Shane, so I can say this joke.
It was Shane, Chris Candido, and I can't remember the third person. Holy crap!
All I can say is this. I was going to say this. Wow. So you mean to tell me that there's been two different versions of this group, and Shane Douglas is the worst wrestler in both of them? I don't know who the other dude is, so I can't remember. But cause I actually had to sit down there for 2 to 6. Like, wait a minute. Was Candido better than Shane Douglas? Yes, he was, dude.
Yes. Yeah. And then, let's see. Let's see. Triple Threat, the Public Enemy. What about that that tag team that was supposed to be the Samoan Mafia or something?
Oh, wasn't that like that was God? I know who they were
because they were feuding with New Jack and Mustafa.
It was feuding with New Jack. They weren't the head strikers. They was
the Samoan Gangster Party.
Yes.
Who was that?
Gangster Party. I forget who was in it.
Actually, scratch that. Samoa SWAT team. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, but
SWAT team.
No, it wasn't a SWAT team. They were like gangsters, like mafia.
So I think Samoa. Yeah, so it was Samoa. Yeah, Samoa team. Yeah.
But they had they jumped the gangsters outside, and then at one point they had either it was in New Jack or Mustafa's head right underneath the tire, one of the tires of the car, and they was driving the car slowly onto the guy's head. And then it was like the next episode, you hear Joey Styles being serious, talk about, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joey Styles. I just want to say that the Samoan gangsters of and if he said the names and he goes, we're just gonna let you guys know that they will no longer be a part of ECW. We apologize. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think Rikishi was part of it.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, that's funny.
Yeah, and you're talking about drug use. I remember on one of these wrestle channels on YouTube where they was shooting, and it was Sandman, Raven, and Terry Funk and New Jack. And Sandman said that Paul walked up to him was like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Go in the back, do a couple lines, and get in with Sabu. I was like,
get your ass in there now.
Yeah. It's like, yep, that's pretty much ECW.
What pissed me off though, seeing those shoot interviews was because New Jack, like I said, it's so funny with New Jack. It's hard to believe some of the shit he says. Because this was like we talk about drugs. Like, yeah, we had coke and all that, but we ain't do none of that. No, nobody was shooting up back there. Nobody was doing that. Nobody doing that. Go to Rob Van Dam. Oh, yeah, all that shit went down.
This is the same New Jack that was all like, yeah, so I saw Kevin Nash and I fucking cussed his ass out on why I wasn't in WCW. Meanwhile, Nash is like, I never even met fucking New Jack until that day at the signing. What the fuck's he talking about?
He just talks for the sake of talking.
Right? That was like, I guess on the flip side of that, Kevin or New Jack saw Kevin at the signing, and he walks up to him, and then Kevin goes, "Oh, New Jack, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in forever." And New Jack goes to him and goes, "Dude, we've never met."
It's like, I don't know this guy. Whose man's is this?
Here's me acting like the grandma. One of y'all motherfuckers lying. One of y'all lying.
I don't know who, but you got to tell the count of 3 to admit it, to tell the truth.
But they used to, man. I heard they everything back there. You can ask somebody, or you can get somebody to find it for you. That's how it was, man. It was just incredible. That's how just incredible said. That's how he ended up getting the coke problem. That's how. Yep. It's funny, man. It's funny that in wrestling you're going to get these people that want. Basically, the reason why people do drugs in wrestling is painkillers. That's really what it is. It's a painkiller. All drugs is a painkiller, and when it becomes abuse, where you're taking it for no fucking reason, that's when it becomes a real problem, man. And, you heard stories of the whole clique. Basically, I like how the whole clique used to get high except Triple H.
Triple H, the one person is like, "Hey guys, say no to drugs, all right? I was in Dare."
Okay? I always love that story where they talk about they did all this drugs one night, and finally Triple H looked at them like, "Hey guys, I can't be a driver no more." No! What did he do? So it always kills me. You always hear all these stories about these, especially in ECW, what they did at the time, and it's sad that it was just so unchecked. And
oh yeah,
I never heard. You know what is funny? I never heard Paul really address that, because let's just be real. Yeah, you did. He may have his reasons, because I'd rather have a happy employee than a sad employee. You know what I mean? I get that. I'd rather have somebody that's doing this instead of that, but drug abuse is still drug abuse, dog. You can dress it up whatever way you want it to. You know what I mean? I always wanted to hear this side about it, how all those guys. I know it's like self-responsibility, but at the same time, I was like, yo, dude, Paul, what you was running a joint? That's like, I don't understand it. Like, you can get on Vince for the steroid use back in the 80s. You can get on him for that shit. But it's like he'll give you an answer back. Like, I just want him to make it look good. Come on, man. Look, you see how Hogan was. We had to keep this side up. So I get that, but I never heard Heyman's excuse for that. You know what I mean? I just wanted to hear what his side was. Whatever. But it's kind of funny. I said the thing about drugs. You know who was always on drugs to me? It was fucking Lance Storm. Because I'm like, no charisma, but I'm watching you. How's this even working right now?
Lance Storm was like, man, the drugs wouldn't even take it. They're like, the drugs like, man, you're too straight-laced for us, man. Dude, I don't think even to work for him. He's like, yes, I did like 5 lines of coke.
Sure you did.
As he stands there in the middle of the ring, and now stand for the Canadian national anthem.
Yes. Well, while I do my lines of coke right in front of you, just prove that I am hardcore.
You're very calm for a coke addict. What's going on here?
Oh crap!
Hey, don't fucking touch me!
And speaking of crazy matches, Taipei Deathmatch between the Rotten Boys.
Taipei Deathmatch. Who was they going against?
It was Axel Rotten and it was the Rotten Boys. It was the Rotten brothers against each other.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yep. Taipei Deathmatch, and Bill Alfonso came in and was trying to be like, "No, you can't do this, you can't do that." And then that was when him and Todd Gordon was having their little story, they had a little program, and then Todd Gordon knocked him out, and they removed Bill Alfonso, and Todd Gordon was like, "Oh wait, he's gone? Then restart the damn match."
Bill Alfonso, I hated that fucking whistle.
Well, but hey, at least, it was a notable feature of him.
It was the only notable feature of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like noted. Duly noted.
Oh my god.
And I will say that one of the craziest matches I've seen and of course you say, really? Out of that? Yeah, one of the craziest ones Beulah versus Bill Alphonse when they kicked him out. Because apparently he was fucking Bischoff or something, and Paul didn't like it, so he was like, "All right, you're out of here, but before you go, we're gonna have Beulah McGillicuddy kick your ass."
Whatever happened to her?
She got married to Tommy Dreamer, and they have kids.
I'm sorry. Why? I should have known that.
You think you would have known, D?
I think I would have known that. I should have known that. Why? Because the second you said, Tommy Dreamer, here's me. Oh, God. I forgot.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so that was a legit thing between him and him and her. They were seriously together, and I think they started dating when they were in ECW.
You know what? I will say this, and this will be probably a decent way of ending all this. I remember seeing Hardcore Justice when they called it Hardcore Justice, when all the ECW people showed up on TNA. Now, this was their last time showing up on like a pay-per-view of any magnitude, you know.
Well, you gotta put air quotes up there, like magnitude, relevance.
Hey, Duke, it's amazing that you said that, because when I said magnitude, I really did do an air quote magnitude of what you would call it. But I will never forget it. I will never forget this as long as I keep watching wrestling, because it was so vivid.
Raven versus Dreamer?
Yeah, Dreamer gets done with the match. It's over with. Mike Tenay says something really stupid. I don't even remember what it was, though. It was just stupid. It was like, well, this might be the last time he's wrestling or some bullshit like that. And you see Tommy Dreamer, he helped out the out the ring and all that. He's going up the ramp. Someone in the audience, loud as day, "You fucking suck, Dreamer!" I never forget that, because it got quiet at the right time. And I was thinking to myself, "Yo, Tommy, I love you, but this pay-per-view was shit."
Well, to be fair, in the interest of fairness, you had a very good Sabu and RVD match.
That was good. That was actually good.
And there was little to no botching at all.
And I will say this:
amazingly little to no botching at all. That was amazing.
And I'll also add this to the fact that this match or that pay-per-view gave us something that we really wanted to see, which is what we couldn't get at the one night stands: Dreamer versus Raven.
You know what? That is true. That is true. Even though that match was some butt. You know what? To me, I hate it. I hate the fact that I feel like I shit on Raven. But ever since he left WWF, I just know he was on this slow cart down a hill. Like, Raven, stop. Just stop, man. Just stop. 95 ain't coming back, bro. Stop.
Right.
Stop.
You ain't right, dog.
Like, I feel bad for that, but it's like this. Like, when I shit about Raven and people look at me like this, like, what? What? That one run he had with DDP? That's all you're going to really bring up to me. You ain't going to bring up nothing else. What about the hardcore matches in WWF? Outside of that, what'd he do?
I mean, he won it 5 times or some shit like that?
He won it like 20 times, didn't he? It was
considering it was a 24/7 rule, it had to be at least 5-6 times he won that shit. I know he did defend it at like Armageddon. I know he did defend that belt at Unforgiven and some other couple of pay-per-views. That was about it.
Yeah. But like I said, it gave us the the closure for Dreamer and Raven, and the I guess you could say one of my favorite moments of when we're talking old or like one night stands or one time only type pay-per-views. We got to see another cat fight with Beulah and Francine. My favorite moment from that was when you hear Mick Foley talk about like these women can't stand each other. All of a sudden you hear Joey Saw go, "Can't stand each other. Beulah hates that bitch."
Oh my god.
You know what? That'll be a good way of ending it. That'll be a great way of ending it.
So
Who you really liked Francine.
Not me.
Okay.
I mean,
Don't look at me, nigga.
so with that is us talking EC Dub. Next time you hear us on WrestleCorner, be what's the next pay-per-view? No Mercy. Well,
Mercy
and Mercy in Hell in a Cell. Yeah. So
no love for Glory for TNA.
Okay.
Was Bound supposed to be coming out this month?
No, in November actually. And they're planning to have at least a minimum of 500 people showing up at that arena.
Dude,
you're nice, dude. When you said 500, I'm just
hey, look, man, look,
dude. After that poor execution of Bound for Glory in Japan.
Boy, how do you fuck up in Japan when you got backing from Japan? How do you mess that up?
TNA finds a way. They always do.
TNA is basically like that friend that you helped that kicked the drug habit and stuff, and you help them get to a job interview, and then you find out the day of the job interview they went back to snorting coke again.
Nah, TNA is like that. TNA is like that. I want to compare this to a girlfriend. There we go. TNA is like that bucket you got. All right, it's a good car. You get you from A to B. Sure, it stinks. Sure, it got bad exhaust. Sure, it does all this wrong. But you know what? You get to your destination, and guess what? That one time, it's just up to the McDonald's. It's around the corner. It ain't gonna take me that long. And it don't move. And it don't move. That's everything. That's everything about. It is great, Duke, that you still call it TNA, because guess what? I don't care if you call it GFW, Impact Wrestling. No, TNA is tattooed on that place. It doesn't matter if you fire Jeff Jarrett, you keep Jeff Jarrett, or you tell him just to come in on the weekend. It's still TNA. I don't care if Dixie Carter's there or not there. It's still TNA. Oh my gosh. And you know what sucks about all this? Don West is going to be unemployed again, and I'm going to be pissed off.
Don't worry, Don West will find some work. He'll find work. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. I'm swimming in old TNA DVDs. Oh, and why wouldn't I be?
Man, it was so funny. I was watching. I forgot. It was with GFW when they finally threw their whole little, color splash all over the whole thing, right? And finally, I was like, wait a minute. It said Don West has a secret or some shit like that. I was like, what? Click, click, click. I have a secret. I'm here with all this old TNA gear. I'm like, holy shit. And after 2 minutes, here's me. So how many autographs is that? That's 10 autographs. That's actually a good deal.
Right? It was like one of those things that happened where he was like, you'll get this amount of DVDs. I think it was like you get like six DVDs for like $20. It was like when daggone well, each one is $20 each, and you're like, okay, Don.
That's cool.
Right?
Part about, what? The only thing that's missing with that was Don saying, "Hurry this up before Vince buys us out, and we can't sell this shit the way we want to."
Man, if that gets on WWE shot, they're gonna give that like 5 cents. Hey, you want these autographs from Jeff Jarrett? Man, here's like 5. Like we give you like 4 cents, man. That's it.
There's gonna be a clearance sale of all the old Sting posters they got. They never
the old posters and DVDs of Sting, Hardy's, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode.
Are they just gonna put it next to the dumpster they have in their office right there? Seriously, they're right next to TNA offices and like wherever they are, right next to a dumpster. So
it has. Because it has to be right beside the dumpster, man. But you know what the great thing about that dumpster is? Hey, if TNA gets lonely, all they have to do is look at that dumpster and look, there's Jarrett. He's waving back. He's still. Yay! God, I'm sorry. I had to let that go, man. I'm so pissed. You know what? It's sad that I'm pissed off of what they did to Jeff Jarrett. But at the same time, I was like, hey, D, was Jeff going to do anything different? Not really.
Nope.
But hey, he still has all that Global Force gold to keep him happy.
I mean, yeah, he. Oh my God, how is it? Hey, Duke, how is it possible that you make two different companies and somebody else takes it from you?
I have no idea.
Nope.
That's just amazing. It's amazing.
We're going a long way about it. I blame Jerry Jarrett. That's how we're done.
Blame Daddy.
Blame his daddy. There you go. All his
Didn't raise that boy right in that business. You know the wrestling game, but the business side.
Hey Jerry, see, this is what you get for trying to put a belt on him like 21. You know that nigga wasn't ready for that shit.
Exactly. No goddamn way.
Going downhill since then. Oh man! And just one more thing. I love how Bruce Pritchard makes fun of his voice. He was like, "Well, guys, this man owes me a favor." I'm like, y'all, you wrong as shit. Jerry does sound like that. Yeah. All right, man. That's it, man. Good.
Let's go.
I think Duke and Denzel for coming on here, especially Denzel because Denzel grew up right around the corner from ECW and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, quick trivia on Denzel. Loves ECW. Would not step foot in a CZW showdown.
Yes. I can't wait for that meme.
Yeah. But anyways, that is it. So we will catch you guys.
Yes.